Hi everybody, it's me again, Jack Wallen, and I'm here once again to talk to you about a book I wrote. Fancy that. Now, I was going to talk about a different book, but then I realized that by the time you watch this, it will be October, which means Halloween season. Oh yes, Halloween season. So I thought, why not talk about one of my books of horror? Well, the book I'm going to talk about is theoretically horror, but at the same time, it's not. It is Dracula Theory. That's right. This is the second book in my Monster Theory series, of which there are 3 right now, and I do have plans on the next one being the Phantom of the Opera, and then probably the Wolfman, and then if it's legal, Creature from the Black Lagoon, but I'm not sure if it's legal yet. I will find out. But that's beside the point, because I'm going to talk today about Dracula Theory. Now, I'm going to keep this a little short because I have 2 videos that I did back in my Moments from My World series. And I'm really excited to show you these because I think they're pretty good. Now, understand, there are 2 of them. There's Renfield and then a secondary vampire that's not Dracula. You'll understand when you watch. But the Renfield video I did was the very first video I did for the Moments from My World series, and it's also the very first video I did that I was tried to be serious about video editing. And although the quality of the video isn't that great, I'm still pretty proud of it, and you'll understand what I mean. But anyway, let's talk about the actual book. First, I'll read the blurb. The blurb. Got to put on my spectacles for that. Harker, Murray, Van Helsing, Renfield. The entire cast of characters from Bram Stoker's famous tale is back, but with a greedy twist of human nature. Jonathan Harker is madly in love with Mina Murray and will do anything to have her hand in marriage, even at the expense of his soul. The Baron Murray is obsessed with the blood of Dracula and will stop at nothing to increase his wealth, even at the expense of his daughter, Mina's life. When these 2 fates entwine, a maddening race to salvation is at hand. The blood is life. Moo, ha, ha. So, why did I decide to write this book? Well, in a similar vein as to why I wrote Frankenstein Theory, I've read Bram Stoker's Dracula several times, and every time I read it, I am reminded that Hollywood didn't really get it right. Don't get me wrong. The original Dracula, the Universal monster movie Dracula, is absolutely wonderful. I love it. I love all of those old black and white Universal monster movies. And the Dracula movie especially. But they clearly romanticized the characters. For example, in the book, Dracula is a hideous creature, like with hairy palms and a monobrow, and it's just hideous. And there are a lot of other dissimilar issues between the original book and the movie. And what I wanted to do was, and also the way the book is written, it's a little jarring. And there are even moments, passages in the book where you're like, what was Stoker saying here? What's the point of this little section? You have to remember when it was written. So there you go. But I wanted to write something that was a little bit more immediate and visceral. But at the same time, I wanted this book to stay in the same vein as Frankenstein Theory. And that is, I wanted to hold the mirror up to society and say, which of us is the monster, the real monster? And I make a fairly obvious case in this book that Dracula is not the monster. I think you can put that two and two together. Now, I took a lot of liberties with the story, but at the same time, I tried to stay true with. I stayed true with the period. I stayed true with most of the intent of the original story, other than the fact that I kind of reversed a little bit, did a little bit of reversal of fortune for the characters, but it's one of those books. People that love vampires, and especially the original, the OG vampire, love this book, and especially those who are fans of the movie. And I would venture to say that a majority of fans of the movie did not read Bram Stoker's original novel. And with this series, one of my goals with it is to create a bridge between the original novels or movies and today's audience, while at the same time keeping them in the same period, because I wanted to honor the original work. Plus, I just love those periods. And so when you read this, it's more immediate than what Bram Stoker wrote to us, to modern audiences, to audiences of the period when Stoker wrote the novel. It was immediate because there was society was very, very different back then, and people, their philosophies and their thought processes and their conception of good and evil was a little bit different. It's a little bit, I would venture to say that it was slightly more pure than what we have today, because they weren't nearly as jaded or corrupted as our society is now. So I wanted to write something that anyone could read, regardless of the period in which it's written. But anyone can read and totally understand the story. Because I know that there are, and I have had discussions with people who are first-time readers of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and one of their criticisms was there were sections of the story they didn't quite understand. Part of that was because of language. Part of that was because of societal sentiment and the way things were back then. So I didn't modernize Dracula. I didn't necessarily modernize the language, but if you were to read it now, you would probably say that it's kind of period light. It's sort of like what Shonda Rhimes did with Bridgerton, or pretty much any historical drama that we watch today. The language is not quite heightened the way it used to be. It's kind of mid-level. It's not common. It's just a notch or two above common. That's the way I like to put it. So you won't have any trouble reading this story, and you will be able to immediately understand the point that I was trying to make, while at the same time I think you'll get wrapped up in the story and enjoy the ride. And I think the twist, I've been trying to go full on M. Night Shyamalan with the Monster series books and give them twists that you won't expect. And I think I've succeeded in this one, as well as Frankenstein Theory and Hyde Theory. So I'm really proud of these books. And especially every time October comes around, I get really proud of these books, because I wrote something that I think is spooky in a period kind of way. And it's not heavy on the gore or horror. But it's very much leans into the ambiance of the period and the themes. And as well as this is very much a character-driven book. So for those of you who really just like character-driven books, this one will tickle your fancy, as it were. So give it a read. $2.99, people. you can't even buy a coffee from Starbucks for that. And this will entertain you for days, maybe weeks, however long it takes. For me, I'm a very slow reader, so it would be weeks for me. It took me 2 months to write, but it would take me a few weeks to read. But you get your money's worth. I promise. You will. And you'll enjoy the ride. You will. I promise. And remember, Renfield is one of my favorite characters in a lot of literature. I had the honor of playing Renfield on stage once. It was one of my favorite roles. And I think that's one of the reasons why I did the Moments from My World video with Renfield. And hopefully you'll appreciate that and the next video. So I'm going to end this now so I can tack those videos on at the end and you don't get tired of hearing me and seeing my goofy looking face. But anyway, I very much appreciate you. I very much appreciate you even thinking about purchasing one of my books. And it's October, so why not dive into the monster series? I would recommend starting with Frankenstein Theory and then going to Dracula Theory and then finishing up with Hyde Theory. And hopefully, maybe by next Halloween, we'll also have my take on the Phantom of the Opera. And I have a hair in my face. It's bugging me. Anyway, thank you so very much for giving me a little bit of your time today. I know it's precious and it means the world to me that you would sit down and listen. Thank you again, and I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day. Jonathan Harker. We meet again. Only this time, there's no one here to protect you from me. Not even the Count. But you see, we are far enough away from Castle Carfax that he will never hear your scream. Which is the only thing I want to hear from your lips at this moment. Your scream of agony as I drain you of your very blood. I can see it from the look in your face. You have no idea why. You've come here to Transylvania in hopes of saving your love, Mina. What you didn't realize was you'd stumbled upon a race of people who has lived outside of the purview of the human race for centuries. Why? Because you, Jonathan Harker, and everyone like you do nothing but consume everything you see and touch, and nothing is safe from you. Not even we vampire. I made a vow to Count Dracula centuries ago that I would stop at nothing to protect him from the likes of you. And here you are. All in the name of love. Love! And yet, the Count has shown you mercy. He has made us all promise that we would give you passage out of Transylvania, but you see, he did not specify whether that safe passage was by foot, by ship, or by pine bark. I will give you until the moon rises.
on the next day. And if you are not out of Transylvania, I will hunt you down, and I will drain you of every drop of blood that courses through your veins. I will show you no mercy, and your Mina will continue to suffer without you. Make no mistake, Jonathan Harker. I have every intention of keeping you and the human race away from Count Dracula, and if you believe otherwise, you are sorely mistaken. Now go! Before I change my mind and you fall under the weight of my fangs. I have no intention of changing my mind. I suggest you run now, before I cannot keep this temptation at bay. Go.
You must let me out of here. I am not the menace to society you believe me to be. I am just a man. You see, I have eyes and teeth and a tongue. Blood flows through my veins, as does yours. And the blood is life, without which we would surely perish. The blood is life. 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 That's what he tells me. The Count. I wish to join him, so that I may protect him, and he in turn would protect me. Oh, please. If I am not freed from this vile cage, I will surely rot with the roaches. Run to the good doctor and tell him I couldn't possibly harm even the slightest creature save the flies that sustain me. Dr. Seward will understand my situation, for he is a man of science and couldn't possibly be swayed by the tribulations and petty workings of the baser men who peddle in lies and misdirection. The doctor will see my grand design and understand why I must do his bidding. Dracula is innocent and has promised me life beyond life. To the contrary, you have gone out of your way to stop this miracle of nature. In that sense, you are nothing more than a speck of lint on the bottom of his shoe. You, Jonathan Harker, are a pox. And I will not allow you continue with whatever machinations you have planned. If you draw near me, and the truth contained within my breast, I will
crush your tin pot skull. The blood is life. 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 Your souls will all be lost, and your lives all forfeit for your treachery. He will find you, and when he does, he will devour your hearts like the sweetest apples plucked from the trees. Please, Dracula, let me taste of your manna, I beg you. Show me some level of mercy. If I am to remain nothing more than a caged beast, he will forsake me. Should that unfortunate reality come to fruition, I cannot be held responsible for whatever befalls you. You have been warned.